Most of us know that we in the PAL regions got stuffed over with older consoles. They were slower, a lot of games weren't optimized to compensate for it, and our screens were horizontally squished with borders. Less of us know that it's a relatively easy thing to overcome. I've done a video in the past where I install a region switch in a Mega Drive 2, so I won't go into as much detail as it's mostly the same. Also, if you want to watch that video, please be warned it's old and I hate it now. Awesome power drill. This time we'll be looking at the Sega Master System 1 and 2, and I won't be using a switch since all of my Master System games will benefit from 60Hz. So why would I go back to 50Hz? Opening up the first Master System reveals a nice, simple layout. What we're looking for is an area on the board labelled JP2 with 3 points labelled 1, 2 and 3. This is where all the magic happens. Point 2 goes directly to pin 57 of the VDP, the chip with the 64 staggered pins, and for PAL it grabs 5 volts from point 3. Pin 1 is ground, which is what point 2 needs for 60Hz operation. So what do? We find the trace on the underside between point 2 and 3 and cut it. That's easy enough. It might take a little more time if you decide to be really careful with it, which is not a bad thing. Once we're sure there's absolutely no connection between those 2 points, we'll solder a bridge between point 2 and 1, and believe it or not, that's it. This is now a 60Hz system. Here's a side-by-side comparison between 50 and 60Hz. So yeah, you can see the basic gist of it is that 50Hz is slower, I think by 17%, and is just a bit squished. The Master System 2 is less easy, still relatively simple but risky. I don't see traces going to pin 57 of the VDP, so I'm going to lift that pin off the board very carefully. I can't stress enough how careful you need to be when moving pins like these around. I snapped one off in a Mega Drive years ago and I still regret it now. To get ground connected for 60Hz, I'm pulling it from the middle pin of the voltage regulator with a single wire. You can see the awful teenage remnants of bad soldering around here. Once that wire coming from the regulator is connected to pin 57 of the VDP, that's it, another 60Hz Master System. I add some protection to the connections with what looks like a lot of hot glue. I don't remember using that much, but there we go, because I don't want to risk ripping everything apart. Well, there you go. That's how you can convert either Master System from 50 to 60Hz, provided you don't intend to switch it back. This is the way it was intended to be anyway. I hope this helped someone, and as always, I'll be back in 16 bits.